What you're about to see will surprise you. Let's dive into When Celebrities Lived It Up, 1970s Party Photos. The 1970s practically invented excess. Sequins, loud prints, and marathon nights turned celebrity life into a non-stop show. Many of today's veteran stars were hitting their stride back then, soaking up disco culture and headline-making parties. Flip through these shots and you can almost hear the bass and smell the perfume. Young Michael Jackson with Steven Tyler. This picture screams 1970s. A young Michael Jackson beside Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler during a Beatlemania night at Studio 54. Jackson was still with the Jackson 5 on the slow burn towards solo superstardom, while Tyler carried full rock cred. Studio 54, pop royalty, and rock legends in one frame? Now that's a scene to envy. How we wish we could have seen it live. Elton John, Neil Sedaka, and Bernie Taupin. A 1975 London snapshot brings together three songwriting giants: Elton John, Neil Sedaka, and Bernie Taupin. It's pure 70s, where everyday life collided with outright celebrity spectacle. The trio looks like they could have been walking off stage or walking into one of the city's wildest nights. That mix of talent and scene makes the image feel instantly iconic. Mick Jagger with Billy Preston at Blenheim. Here's a classic 70s moment of Mick Jagger partying with Billy Preston at Blenheim Palace in 1973. The Stones were deep in their heyday, throwing a promo party for Goat's Head Soup and celebrating to the max. You can practically feel the glamour and the excess in the photo. It's rock royalty letting loose. Full stop. Sylvester Stallone and Sasha Chak. Just look at that sharp suit. We often think to ourselves while sitting at our desks, we wish we were on a dance floor in the 1970s canoodling with a super sharp-suited Sylvester Stallone. And luckily enough for this woman, she was. This picture shows Stallone dancing with his first wife, photographer Sasha Chak. The talented actor and writer was one of the biggest stars of the 1970s, best known for appearing in the phenomenally successful Rocky franchise. Almost 50 years since the film's release, Stallone remains one of the world's most famous faces. Glenn Frey and Elton John. It wouldn't be a gallery of legendary 70s parties if we didn't feature Elton John at least a few times. Here we see the international megastar and musical treasure partying with Glenn Frey from American rock group The Eagles. Frey's band was throwing the star-studded event, and from the look on his face, he's certainly indulged quite a bit already by the time this photo was taken. John looks a bit calmer, but he is also wearing his sunglasses indoors, so who knows what he's on. Diana Ross. Here we have another combination of two absolute stellar and iconic institutions of the 1970s. The singer Diana Ross and the legendary New York nightclub Studio 54 both came to epitomize the glamorous and groovatastic vibe of the decade. Ross certainly looks like she's feeling the music as she jives away on the dance floor. What we wouldn't give to have been able to tread the legendary tiles of this famous nightclub, boogieing along with the undisputed queen of disco, Jack Nicholson and Art Garfunkel. Another sighting of the legendary Hollywood actor Jack Nicholson, this time at a party in England. Nicholson is so recognizable from his films and his sometimes pretty wacky characters that it almost feels weird to see him outside in the real world, kind of like when you spot your teacher outside of school. Here he is with Art Garfunkel, one half of legendary singing-songwriting duo Simon and Garfunkel. Garfunkel's curls alone are enough to go down in history, let alone his massive plethora of classic hits. Calvin Klein and Brooke Shields. And the 1970s weren't just about movie stars and rock legends. It was also a great year for the fashion industry, turning models and designers into bona fide global superstars. Here we can see legendary fashion designer Calvin Klein at the iconic New York nightclub Studio 54, partying with his young protege and model Brooke Shields in '81. Calvin Klein has become such a household name as a fashion label, it's almost easy to forget that the name actually belonged to a person first: John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Many people blamed Yoko Ono for the eventual breakup of legendary British rock band The Beatles. It was after her marriage to the band's frontman, John Lennon, that the group began to unravel and eventually disbanded. The truth was, the iconic hitmakers had simply decided to try other things, and Ono was unfairly blamed for something that would have happened anyway. Whatever you think of her, she and John Lennon are two famous faces that absolutely represent that historic decade. Here they are together partying away at an EM Gallery celebration. There's certainly no way we can get through a list of the most legendary celebs of the 1970s and not mention Cher. Cher first became a worldwide sensation alongside her husband, Sonny Bono, as the two worked as their singing double act, Sonny and Cher. Later on, the soulful songstress became a superstar in her own right. Here she is in her quintessential glamour and style as she attends a promo party for the classic movie Last Tango in Paris. It certainly wouldn't be her last dance, as Cher remains a disco sensation to this day. Sammy Davis Jr. and Judy Geeson. Hello again, Sammy Davis Jr. It's no surprise to see him appear on our list more than once, as the soulful singer was undoubtedly one of the greatest stars of the legendary decade. Here he is at a party in 1976, clearly saying something very amusing to British actress Judy Geeson. To be honest, if Sammy Davis Jr. told us a joke, we'd laugh whether it was funny or not. In fact, we'd be so starstruck that we'd probably just giggle nervously. Farrah Fawcett and Lee Majors. Farrah Fawcett's showbiz legacy is undeniable. Never mind the fact that her iconic TV series, Charlie's Angels, has now undergone countless Hollywood remakes and reimaginings, her hairdo from the same show is also still one of the most popular styles in the world. Why? Only the other day we went into the salon and asked for a Farrah, and any hairstylist worth his salt knows what that means. Here she is alongside her husband at the time, fellow Hollywood giant actor Lee Majors, in 1978. Paul and Linda McCartney. Paul McCartney is well known for his part in not one, but two legendary rock bands to come out of the UK in the 1970s, the mega-successful and worldwide mania-inducing The Beatles and his follow-up project Wings. Always regarded as somewhat of the heartthrob of the group, here he is with his wife Linda McCartney attending the premiere for the 1973 James Bond film Live and Let Die. And they weren't just there to fill up the numbers, McCartney had written the movie's theme tune. Candice Bergen and Sterling St. Jacques. Even though it was definitely a time of high fashion and monumental developments in the film and music worlds, that didn't mean that the stars riding the wave of celebrity in the 1970s couldn't just have fun. No, in the 1970s, fun was a serious business. And here we see legendary actress Candice Bergen taking this very much to heart as she frolics around with nightclub stalwart Sterling St. Jacques in 1979. What we wouldn't give to be swinging like that to the beats of the 70s. Grace Jones. The 1970s was a huge time of fashion and style inspiration, particularly in the sense of experimenting with new looks and finding your own, sometimes unconventional style. No one epitomizes this creative and fun freedom more than actress and singer Grace Jones, who is as famous for her eye-catching looks as she is for her work. Here she is displaying a marvelously colorful and innovative headdress as she boogies away at Studio 54. She certainly looks happy about her choice of getup. We would be too. Jerry Hall and Mick Jagger. It's no surprise that legendary rocker Mick Jagger and his wives appears more than a few times on this list. Still rocking even today, during the 1970s, Jagger was the epitome of style and success, and along with his band The Rolling Stones, he changed the landscape of modern rock and roll forever. Here he is with his wife, model and actress Jerry Hall, at the second anniversary party for the super popular celebrity hotspot. Yup, you've guessed it, Studio 54. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have one of the strongest and most beloved Hollywood marriages in history, despite not being actually married. Perhaps that's their secret? Whatever the reason behind their successful relationship, the two of them have been stalwarts on the showbiz scene for decades and remain so even to this day. In fact, even Goldie Hawn's superstar actress daughter Kate Hudson regards Russell as her father, as the two Hollywood greats raised her together. Here we see the golden couple pictured together in New York City in 1976. Diane von Furstenberg and Barry Diller. Did you know that Diane von Furstenberg is actually a princess? She became one when she married Prince Egon Furstenberg, a member of the German royal family, the House of Furstenberg. Nowadays, she is better known as the princess, or maybe rather the queen, of cutting-edge fashion. The esteemed fashion designer is pictured here with American businessman Barry Diller in 1977 as they enjoy a night out at the mecca of the 70s celebrity social scene, the New York nightclub Studio 54. Rod Stewart, Alana Hamilton, and Elton John. Here we can see another power union of three super famous celebrities, Rod Stewart, Alana Hamilton, and Elton John. What is John looking so poker-faced about? Perhaps he's annoyed that he didn't get the memo about super fluffy blonde locks being the in look for this party. Rocker Rod Stewart and model and actress Alana Hamilton look pretty pleased about their choice of due. These two blonde beauties would actually get married the year after this photo was taken, at a party at Studio 54 in 1978. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. We've got chills. Here we can see acting and singing superstars John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John as they hang out together during a premiere for their 1977 movie Grease. It's funny to think that when this picture was taken, the classic movie hadn't yet become the national treasure it is today. Do you think they knew the level of stardom they were destined for? Perhaps they did, as they both looked pretty happy as they prepare to bust out some disco moves. Margot Hemingway and Bernard Fouché. Don't forget that, as well as the era of decadence and disco moves, the 1970s was still very much a celebration of following your heart. Here we see an example of two celebrities that did just that. Pictured here is fashion model and actress Margot Hemingway enjoying a night out at Studio 54 with her long-term beau, French filmmaker Bernard Fouché. This picture was taken around 1978, and the two lovebirds would eventually marry at the end of the following year. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. Though you might not think of the 1970s as being particularly Paul Newman's heyday, the 1960s Hollywood stalwart was still very much a popular and revered famous face, and his fame lasted well throughout the 1970s and continues even to this day. Here we see him pictured with his wife, actress and producer Joanne Woodward, at the Tony Awards in New York City in 1968. Unlike many Hollywood marriages, Newman and Woodward were together for an amazing 50 years before Newman passed away aged 83. Donna Summer. The 1970s was so full of glitz and glamour, as well as celebrity gossip and whirlwind romances, that it's sometimes easy to forget it was also a time of great creativity and incredible musical advances. This picture reminds us exactly of how revered these performers really were, showcasing their talents in the most momentous of places. Here we can see legendary singer Donna Summer belting out a powerful banger at a star-studded party at Neil Bogart's Casablanca Records in 1978. Looking back at it all, what makes this gallery remarkable is how a handful of pictures can conjure an entire decade. The shots here are more than celeb sightings. They are snapshots of an attitude, full of sparkle, swagger, and a little bit of chaos. You see the same names again and again, and that repetition tells you something about where fame lived back then. These photos don't just show parties, they capture a mood that still feels infectious. Players and familiar faces. Flip through these frames and the cast keeps popping up. Jack Nicholson, Elton John, Mick Jagger, Liza Minnelli, Cher. That repetition is part of the story. A small world of friends, collaborators, lovers, and rivals who kept turning up at the same rooms. It's less about chance and more about a scene where everyone seemed to orbit one another. The photos read like a who's who of the decade, and that's exactly what gives them their punch. Fashion was part of the show. Clothes here are not background, they are main characters. Halston, Diane von Furstenberg, Grace Jones, and others wore looks that demanded attention, and the cameras ate it up. Sequins, bold patterns, oversized sunglasses, and daring headpieces made every photo a statement. The decade's style still looks theatrical today, and that theatricality is a big reason these images hold up. New books dust off old photos. Publishers and curators have been digging through those celebrity archives and putting the best nights back on display. One notable release is an official Studio 54 book that gathers star-studded images, some we did not see when these parties first made headlines. Seeing the photos printed again gives them fresh life and makes the wildness feel immediate all over again. These books are part history, part showbiz souvenir. Photographers finally get their due. The people behind the camera are getting noticed. Names like Ron Galella, Bill Bernstein, Gene Spatz, and Richard E. Aaron are showing up in captions and exhibit notes, and their candid work is being reappraised. Those rough, grab-the-moment frames feel less like paparazzi trash and more like primary sources for the era. It changes how you read every grin, every cigarette, every sudden pose. A single stunt becomes an era. Some moments turned into shorthand for the whole decade. New exhibits highlight stunts and gestures that stuck in the public mind, like Bianca Jagger's unforgettable entrance on a white horse, which keeps getting replayed in headlines and captions. Those theatrical flourishes show how spectacle and celebrity fed each other. They also explained why a single image can define a night.